Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So this will be the first series of challenges that we're going to be going through. So I want you to listen to this part. On this series, I'll be posting challenges on which I come across, some scenarios, some practicals that require mostly console application. But if you have like some problems on which are mostly web-based, you can send them to me. Console or websites, just send them to me. I'll be dealing with them and I'll create a video based on them to solve them. Otherwise, let's jump to this thing. So we have a challenge. I'll show you just now. Let's go through it actually at this point. So as you can see, we do have some practical, on which this practical is basically mostly about a temperature. So they say we should write a program that reads 10 midday temperatures for Port Elizabeth. The temperatures must be stored in an array of integers. Only temperatures higher than 0 and less than 45 are valid. It must calculate and display the following. That means it must display what? The temperatures and the average temperature within a list of temperatures that have been provided, on which it is expected to be 10. For the program, implement the following methods before implementing the main method, which must make use of these methods. Okay, so let's go back to this thing. From here, we're going to be creating our console application. I use .NET C# to solve these things. So now we're going to say .NET, specify the framework. I'm going to be using .NET 5.0 because the layout is pretty much open up Visual Studio Code. Nice. I'm going to put it on the side and then pull the document. Okay. So how we can see, nice. So this is an instruction on which it tells us we should write a code on which it takes temperatures on which are what between the range of what 0 and less than 45, on which they should be 10. Okay, let's add our assets here. So they said before what? Before implementing the main method, we should have this functions. So we're gonna copy these functions. Just paste them here, simplify our job, try to format this thing. Can we format it? No, it doesn't work. Okay, so let's come here. Okay, let's do this. That means we have to do this basically for everyone. Bear with me guys, it should be done pretty quick. I just want to be able to format this thing. I'll just say 10 0 for now, and then we're gonna come here and then pretend 0 also. Should have just copied that thing. I want to format that. Nice. So I can format on Visual Studio Code if I do have some errors, and then to format I just have to press Ctrl Shift and F. It formats the document for me. So now we do have instructions here. So everything is good. They said before we get to this part, we should do what? We should implement these things. But we do remember something, that we have to write a code on which it takes this thing. So now let's get to this part. They say, okay, this is a static function. What? Okay. So now this is a public function which is static, and then it does what? It returns an integer and then gets what? Get valid temperature. Right? So to get the valid temperature, we must do something. So basically it takes a temperature. This is where we ask our user to provide the temperature, and then from then check if our app is valid or not. Hope it makes sense. So what we're going to do is that we're going to make sure that the user keeps providing a value until the value is valid. So we're going to say do, on which we keep do this thing while the condition is. I hope it makes sense. So let's try that one. So do while what? Okay, first of all, we're going to do, and temperature is integer in this case, in units. Okay. Okay, let's make it -1. Let's see. So less than 45. And less than 45. That means it should be less, greater or equal to 45. Okay. That means that's when it becomes invalid. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna say, while these things are not met, keep doing this thing, in which you're gonna say what? So console.write, I feel like this one. I'll just say temperature, and then temp is equals to, and which now we have to do what? I had to just pass, converting this thing, and then we convert it into this thing. And then from here, what we're gonna do, we're just gonna return out temp. This is pretty simple. We can test that one just to see if it's working. So we can just say get valid temperature, on which if we open this thing and then say .net, let's see .net, let's see what's gonna happen. So it says temperature, and which, okay, let me try to see if I can. So if it says temperature, if we add 50, it's gonna keep saying temperature. If we add 35, it's gonna keep saying that. But if we say 30, meaning it's between the range, that means it accepts it. This is great, right? So okay, let's proceed. That means this function is done. Let's minimize this thing. We're done with that one. So now we come with a display on which we do get a list, and then we get what? Number of elements. Display. Okay, let's get to understand what this thing does. Okay, display the elements in the list. That's what it does. So what is number of elements for? Do you think? Oh, you specify the number of elements or number of temperatures that you wanna show within the list. Okay, why didn't they just say so? Come on. So this is why this thing, I'm gonna have a temperature index. That's why comments matter sometimes. Like it's important to inform us deeply what's happening. So we do have temp index which is equals to 0, and which temp index is less than what? Number of elements, and then number of elements. What is an element? Temperature, or something like that. And then from there we're gonna keep incrementing this thing. And then from there, what we're gonna do now, we're just gonna be doing the normal thing of like, we're gonna console this thing. Should I have saved? Yeah. Basically, let's try to format this thing in. So we're gonna say day what? Let's format our string. So on which is gonna be what? Temp index plus what? And which from here we're gonna say so let's do something like this. Let's say list of temperatures, and then from then we're gonna say so for day, and then we're gonna specify the temp on which it will be what? We have a list, right? And which is list at position what? Temp index. So that one we expect it to work, basically. So to test that, let's test that one. So we're gonna be providing some dummy thing here. So we're gonna create a list of integer, an array of integer on which you're gonna say temps on which. Now, is this how we can create it? We can create a list of this, right? So let's say 23 for 6 or 5. Okay, that's cool. And then we're gonna say, is it display or display on which you provide the list of which the temps and the number of temperatures that you want to display, and which you just gonna say that. And we just 1, 2, 3, right? So let's try to run this thing. Come back here. Let's clear the screen first. So we're gonna say loading it. Let's run it again. So we can see day 1 temperature was 23. Degree 4 is not formatted that well. Let me try to do something like. Can I just say, how do I write degree? Do I say degree? I feel like it's good. Okay, I feel like this one is good. So let's try to run it again. Let's see. Okay, some space probably. Let's provide some space here. So let's run it. Yeah, much better. Let's clear this thing. Let's close it. Okay, so now we move to the next function, or the next function will be about. Let's see how many minutes have passed already. 11 minutes. So now we're going to be doing the next part, which is about reading 10 integers, basically. So we do have a function on which it takes value from person, right? So we're gonna do, how do we do this thing? What do we do? If I do a for on which I code 10 times. Okay, yeah, it's gonna do this. It's gonna do. So now we're gonna read 10 integers, right? Integers, and then we do have reference of number of elements, and then we do have a list into array list. So basically, we from the get value temperature, we take this, and then whatever value that is being returned, we're going to store it in this into this thing. Hope it makes sense. We're going to see on that one. So we're going to be creating, let me just call it an index. I'm just going to use and then index is less than what? It's less than 10. And then index plus plus. And then from there, what we're going to do is that we're going to do the part of getting the valid temperature so that we add it into the list. So so what is number of elements basically? So raise 10 temperatures in an array. Do you think number of elements, it kind of like, it's more of like number of elements or number of temperatures within the list, meaning every time when we insert within the list or within the array, we have to increment the number of elements. I think so. So let's do that. I feel like we need to, let's do get valid temperature, and then this thing returns what? A word, an int, on which I'll just call it temp. And then once the temp is being returned, what we're gonna do with the temp, we're gonna just put it straight into this thing. So we're gonna say list at position. So this one reads 10 integers, but there's a chance the list could contain other temperatures. So that means we're going to be using what number of elements within the list to be able to keep incrementing. For example, if we have 10 yeah, elements within this thing. That means we have to what? Add the 11th one, right? Yeah, so meaning you're gonna insert at the position of, and yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I do believe I'm doing this thing the right way. Okay, so the position at this thing is equals to what? It's equals to 10, and then from there we're gonna do what? Is equals to what? Plus plus. This is basically, or you can just do, this is still the same thing. So yeah, basically this is what it means. I do believe so. So let's test this part. So to check if it's working, I'm going to create number of elements on which it is equals to 0 at first. So meaning we have to create another thing called let me just put it in an array, and which I will just call it temperatures, and which I'll just say I have to specify though. This is the thing. So here we specify that the only elements that we can, or the number of temperatures that we can put within this array, they are 10. So I wonder what is number of elements for, because here it forces us to read 10 integers. Meaning when we insert, we automatically gonna fill this thing. I don't understand this thing. Otherwise, okay, let's do it like that. So now we're gonna do what? We're gonna read 10 integers, on which we're gonna do a provider, and then long. Okay, so now we are good. So from then we can just display. We do have a display on which is equals to temperatures, and then number of elements on which. Does number of elements? I'm not so sure on this one. Confusing me. I'll just take number of elements on display as like number of elements to display, and then in terms of like within 10 integers, I'll just take it as if like the number of. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. What number of elements is for? In this case, I'll just say number of elements to display, on which I'll just say 5. We're gonna insert 10 and then just show 5. So does it make sense? Now let's run this thing. See what's gonna happen. So as usually we expect, if we let's provide valid stuff. We're gonna enter 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So list of temperatures on which, okay, they are 1, since we inserted 1 to 5. Since we said show the first 5, these are the first 5. That means it works. So let's clear let's close this thing. So we now, this one also works. You can just minimize these things since you're done writing their function. So get average temperature. Oh, I knew it. So number of elements basically tells the number of elements within the array. It makes sense. It quite makes sense. So even here, that means we wouldn't have to specify. We will just say number of elements, on which automatically, since we inserted 10, the size is 10, it was going to display the whole thing. So now we do have the last part, which is get average temperature. So get average temperature, we're going to be doing in terms of like using the for loop. So temp index is equals to 0, and then temp index is less than what? It's less than number of elements, group, and then temp index response. Yeah, and then we're gonna create average, and which average will be 0. Let's make our average equals to 0 for now. And then here we're going to return our average, and then average, we're going to do what? Average is, we're going to say what's what? A list. I'm going to divide it by what? With average we get the sum. So basically what we have to do, we have to say the sum of temperatures, and then from here what are you gonna do? Oh no. So from here we're gonna say sum of temperatures plus is equals to list at temp index, and then here we're gonna return what? Sum divided by what? By number of elements. Yeah. So if we provide 1 to 10 temperatures, and then 10 divided by what? By 10, the average should be what? Should be what? Basically. So let's do that now. So now we're gonna be doing what? Console with right line. I'm gonna do some formatting. I'll say temperature average. That's equals to. Then we do have get average temperature. Then we provide what? Temperatures, and then we provide also number. Then we come here, Control Z to make sure everything has been displayed on the same thing. So let me just expand this thing since we don't want to use the document. So now what I'm doing is that I'm saying temperature average is equals to, then we use this thing to calculate our average. So now let's run this thing. Let's not display this time. Since we know how display works, we're gonna read the temperatures and then do the average. So let's open this thing. So we're gonna provide 1 to 10 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And which temperature average. Oh, I'm so stupid. Temperature average is 5 because the sum of all these things. Yeah, I'm so crazy. Okay, it becomes 5. So basically, this is the average. I don't even know what the sum of these things is. It's just, did I just say what? Okay, so basically, we managed to solve this challenge. Meaning now we were able to do some restrictions in terms of the temperature level on which it is accepted, and then also we managed to, what did we do? Yeah, we managed to like store data inside this thing, and then also keep up to date the number of elements, because we're updating the number of elements within this thing, within this function, since we're using reference. And then yeah, that is it. So thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but most importantly, keep sending those challenges. I'm going to be doing them just like this one. Despite the level of difficulty, just bring it and then I'll solve it. See you in the next upcoming videos. Cheers. Thank you.